Welcome to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Now here along with Dr. Bonati, your host, Kimberly Brummel.
Well, thank you for joining us for American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brummel, joined by our radio executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
I am here, as always.
Well, we have a jam-packed show today.
We certainly do.
You know, it's going to be a little bit different, but we have a ton of people on. We have Brian Boyle, a young man who suffered from a horrific accident that left him hospitalized and in a coma for 2 months.
Yeah.
He's chronicled his amazing journey back to good health in a book called The Patient Experience, and you'll hear about that coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Dr. Christopher Saxleys from Syndaver. He's going to be in studio talking about a company that manufactures the world's most sophisticated synthetic human tissues and body parts.
These things are pretty unbelievable. I don't know if you watched any of the videos on them. I'm a big fan of Mythbusters, and they actually did a segment with one of these synthetic cadavers that they make at Syndaver, and he was on Shark Tank recently as well.
Right.
So, and that's how it was brought to our attention. He's right in our backyard here in Tampa, so we thought, let's have him come in, bring a body with him. We'll check it out.
It's going to be amazing.
Yep.
And then we have whiz kid inventor Jack Andraka, and he's an incredible young man that's been called the next Edison, and it's all because of something that he invented at age 15. So jam-packed show, just filled with
Good stuff.
medical marvels, so to speak.
Indeed.
Up first, we have Christopher Dreyer. Now, he's a patient of the Bonati Spine Institute, and he's from Palm Harbor, and he's going to tell us his story.
In today's Back to Life segment, we will talk to a patient of the Bonati Spine Institute who went from living a life that was restricted by pain and discomfort through their journey of finding the Bonati Spine Institute and are now living pain-free.
Well, thank you for joining us on the phone today, Christopher.
How you doing, Chris?
You're welcome. Good.
Good.
Why don't you kind of tell us your story? Now, you are a wounded warrior.
Yes.
Let's preface that. And why don't you get into the injuries that caused you pain? Was it something combat related or not? And then kind of walk us through that process of how you came to find the Bonati Spine Institute.
In 2003, on mission in Afghanistan, I went down with lower back pain.
Okay.
And 2006 in Iraq, the same thing. 2009, it happened again, and through X-rays and MRIs, it was deemed that I didn't do my job anymore. And it was also through accident, and they said degenerative disc disease as well.
Oh, okay.
So I'd imagine, Christopher, that you're a young man, of course, right? Probably, what, in your 20s?
38.
Okay. But you wouldn't expect, a young man to have that kind of back pain. And so it wasn't combat related? You just had a degenerative disease in your back?
No, it was during combat. It was not due to an explosion or anything.
Okay.
What type? Go ahead.
Just what the body endures being an infantryman over time.
Mm-hmm.
What was that pain like for you? What were some of the things that you could do before this pain occurred that you weren't able to do with the pain? And then kind of describe it for the listeners. Was it something that was localized? Was it numbing, tingling? Did it kind of radiate in certain areas of your body?
It was localized and small on my back, and also shooting and numbing as well, down to my toes on my left side and down to the knee on the right side.
Oh.
Mm. And so how did it affect your day-to-day life?
Yeah.
I could still do things, but it hurt. If it hurt too bad, I'd just lay down and not really want to do anything.
Okay.
But there's no easing the pain, so might as well just keep driving on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, because your job was so physical, were there certain things that it was affecting?
Yeah, it made me to where I couldn't be in the same unit I was in.
Okay.
I couldn't deploy anymore.
Got it.
Okay, and so obviously it was affecting your day-to-day life. What made you decide to, like, what form of treatment did you look into prior to finding Bonati?
So they sent me to physical therapy doing traction, exercises, and that didn't work. And then I went, did pain management. So I got epidurals. After the second one I was good, and then I got the third one, and the pain got worse.
Got it.
A couple years, about a year and a half, 2 years later, I went to something called dry needling.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is that?
That is where they stick a needle. It's kind of like acupuncture, but they stick needles in the muscles of the back and energize those muscles to expand instead of contract.
Ooh.
And did that have any effect on your pain?
It started helping a little bit, but I wasn't able to constantly continue it.
Okay.
Due to traveling.
Mm-hmm. Did you seek out any other type of conservative methods or surgical methods before finding the Bonati Spine Institute?
The chief neurosurgeon of Walter Reed sat down with me and said that at one point in time, I'll have to get surgery, but that wasn't the right time. And that's the only other surgeon I talked to.
Wow. So that didn't sound like a good prognosis at that point. Was it affecting, I mean, I know there's certain training activities that you do, and sometimes, I mean, was it affecting how you slept? I would imagine
absolutely.
It was.
Yeah, the pain shooting from the legs makes it hard to sleep.
Got it.
I bet. So, so how did you first hear about the Bonati Spine Institute, Christopher?
In late 2013, we moved down to Palm Harbor area, and my wife saw it on TV and said, "Hey, why don't you send in your story and information, and we'll see what happens."
Mm-hmm. And you did. You came in through the Wounded Warrior program that Dr. Bonati started at the Institute. And what was that experience like for you when you came in? Why don't you talk about that evaluation process?
It was overwhelming, to be honest with you, but it was great. I didn't expect to get treated the way I did.
Okay.
And the good vibe in the office, or Dr. Bonati's office, was incredible. I haven't seen too many places that are like that. That was one of the first things I said to my wife when I walked in. Once I went and got the MRI, he came in and described my pain to a T, and we decided to do surgery on L5-S1 left side.
And Christopher, did you even have to tell Dr. Bonati where your pain was, or just by looking at your MRIs, was he able to tell you where your pain was?
He was able to tell me where my pain was by looking at the MRIs and X-rays.
Mm-hmm. Wow. When you knew that you weren't going to be put out during the surgery, meaning we don't use general anesthesia, the Bonati Spine Institute uses something called conscious IV sedation, where you're in constant communication with the surgeon through the process. Mm-hmm. How were you feeling at that point? Did you think that was a good idea?
I wasn't sure.
Well, that's honest, because some people, it makes
they're
them
a little hesitant, to think that you're going to be
yes.
awake during an actual spine procedure, but you weren't feeling any pain, right, Christopher?
Oh, no, not at all. The only time I would is when he moved the nerve to get around it,
right.
And when he wanted feedback from me on, is this the pain you're always feeling?
Mm-hmm.
So he knew he was doing his job right.
Did you watch?
I did.
And what'd you think?
I loved it.
Yeah?
I love that medical stuff, so
Well,
it's pretty interesting.
That's another thing, too, where some people are like, I don't want to watch that, but it's very
fascinating.
It's totally fascinating, and you're able to communicate with the doctor during the procedure. You're watching a big screen. You're watching the procedure happen. So, Christopher, did you feel immediate pain relief, or how soon did you find relief from your pain?
I found relief as soon as I got up off the table and walked.
Wow. So, how long had you suffered in pain before you found Bonati?
Oh, about 10, 11 years.
11 years, and then a quick procedure with Dr. Bonati, and you were pretty much feeling relief of your pain right after surgery.
Absolutely.
Wow. And what was the recovery process like for you?
Well, from the time I got off the table, I had to wait 45 minutes
Okay.
in the recovery room, and then I was released and had to come back the next day, and that was it.
Okay. And are you still able to participate in some of the activities that you thought you'd have to give up?
Yes. Playing in the men's soccer league on 2 different teams.
That's great.
Very cool. So you're totally pain-free, 100% pain-free after having your Bonati spine procedure.
Yes.
Wow.
Excellent.
Well, good. And if you ran into somebody that you knew that was suffering in the type of pain that you did, or just spine pain in general, based on your results, would you feel comfortable in referring them to the Bonati Spine Institute?
Absolutely.
Well, great.
Well, thank you for your service, Christopher. It's an appropriate week to have you on, having Memorial Day earlier this week. So we thank you for that, and continued pain-free living, my friend.
All right. Thank you very much.
You take care,
All right,
Christopher.
have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. What a great gentleman,
Good
and
stuff.
a serviceman to the country. Deserves a lot of accolades himself. Again, we have an exciting show, but if you were suffering with neck, back, sciatic pain, migraines, RSD, fibromyalgia, that's the time to reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute, because you will find answers. They'll help you regain your strength and get back in motion. That's why Bonati succeeds where others fail. 855-267-0482 or visit Bonati.com. Coming up after the break, we have Brian Boyle, young man who suffered a horrific accident that left him hospitalized and in a coma for 2 months. Stay tuned.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thank you for listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our executive radio producer, Ethan Euchre.
Guten Tag. I'm a German all of a sudden.
Guten Morgen.
Yeah, Guten Morgen.
One of those.
One of them, I don't know.
We have our friend and senior fellow, Jeff Wagstaff.
Hola.
Hola. And that gentleman over there, world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute.
Tag guten.
See, now you're testing me
Yes.
because I claim to be of German ancestry, yet I don't know how to say much more than hello and good morning. So,
Isn't that all you
what
need?
did you just say, Doc?
Oh, no.
Gesundheit, and then
See, now
you're
he's
good.
making up stuff, and I'm supposed to believe that he knows what he's... How many languages do you know, Doc? You've been all over the place.
Well, I kill around 4 languages.
You massacre around 4 languages, but...
That is one of the funniest things he's ever told me. I love that.
Really? That's good.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, I have to say, for those that are watching the stream and listening, I work with the greatest group of guys. It's just amazing. From John Gaston, who streams our program, to Ethan, to Jeff, to Dr. Bonati, and our social media guru, Meredith Sensulo.
Even though she's not a
absolutely
guy.
amazing. No, she's one of the girls, and we adore her.
We do.
Yes, so great group.
Thank you.
And speaking of that,
do?
and speaking of that, we have an amazing guest on the line. His name is Brian Boyle. He's a healthcare education advocate and author of The Patient Experience, The Importance of Care, Communication, and Compassion in the Hospital Room. Now, welcome to the show, Brian. Amazing story that you have, where you nearly died at 18 when a dump truck plowed into his vehicle. Why don't you elaborate on that and how you came to write this book?
Thanks for having me, everyone. My name is Brian Boyle, and long story short, 10 years ago, regular summer day, crossed a local intersection, and I was struck in my driver's side door by a speeding dump truck. Injuries were catastrophic. Heart went across my chest, shattered ribs, shattered pelvis, collapsed lungs. I was medevaced out to a local shock trauma unit, underwent 14 operations in a span of 2 months, where I was in a medically induced coma, brought back to life 8 times on the operating table, and spent 3 years in recovery. And this was 10 years ago, but it feels like yesterday to me. And this book was my way of, showing the gratitude as a patient to care providers. Given the experience as a patient to help other patients, help their family members, and just to improve the experience for everyone in the hospital room.
Right.
And Brian, I know just having read a little bit about the book, that not only was it an incredibly tragic accident that you went through, but like you said, you were in a medically induced coma for 2 months. When you emerged from this coma, apparently you were still you were awake and aware, but you were unable to communicate with those around you. What was that like? And knowing that there's doctors there, nurses trying to treat you, probably family, and you couldn't communicate with them, that must have been horrible.
And feeling pain all the while.
And in pain.
Exactly. It was like waking up into a living nightmare. I woke up and I was very coherent. It could have been the first couple of days after waking up in ICU. Could have been a couple of weeks, but the concept of time didn't exist at that point for me as a patient. And I was just so tuned in to the atmosphere, to the healthcare providers, to my parents, my family, my friends. And I had to depend on them to understand what happened to me due to the concussion that I sustained at the accident scene. Right. Every day was a what-if scenario. Every day was a waiting game, roller coaster ride, ups and downs. And it was a very, very bizarre experience to wake up to. And I was just so grateful, and I was so inspired by my care team members, the ones that would talk to me, that would get to know me, that said my name, looked at my get well cards on the side of the room and the bulletin board. They made a connection with me, and that's what inspired me to be a healthcare advocate now, is to speak in behalf of healthcare.
You know, Brian, it sounds like after what happened to you, and I don't know how you feel, but somebody wanted you here. There's a reason why you are here, because it sounds like it's surprising that you survived.
Jumping off of that statement, Jeff, I actually wanted to ask you, Brian, since you were brought back to life 8 times, I read a lot about NDEs, near-death experiences. Did you have any of those when you perished basically 8 different times?
That's a great question. And I'm often asked about that, because when I was in ICU, and I couldn't tell if this was like at the accident scene or throughout the whole experience of being in ICU for 2 months, I couldn't tell what the concept of time was. I couldn't tell what was reality, what was a dreamlike state, what was a nightmare. For me, I remember one situation is very vivid to me. I don't know what this experience was, but I remember sitting almost in like this waiting room kind of situation, and I had a boy to my left and boys and girls to my right. And the boy to my left said, "Brian, you need to use my cell phone." And for me, I was like, this is a complete stranger, but I felt like I could trust this person. And I said, "Can you call my parents and tell them that I love them?" And I thought in that moment, that's something I should really say. And they called my parents up. They told them what I just told them to tell them. And I was just sitting there thinking, how did I get here? What's going on? What's taking place? And I realized that we're waiting for something. I don't know what it is. And the next moment, I'm waking up and I'm in a hospital bed. And it was just a very bizarre experience to wake up to.
I'm not Catholic, but that sounds like a very modern version of purgatory.
Yeah, the waiting room. That's incredible, Brian. So what led you to write this book? I mean, it's all about the patient experience. What was your patient experience, and what are some of the key points from the book that you want people to know about?
I would say when I was going through rehab and I'm in my wheelchair and I'm thinking one day I could get better, one day I could recover. And the experiences that I went through as a patient throughout ICU and now throughout recovery, I'm thinking this could help other people. This could help other patients. It could help other family members of a patient going through this experience. And I was just hoping that I could provide, with my background, a way or a platform to reach out to others and help give them hope, guidance, motivation, inspiration, and give them some of the answers that we were desperately seeking during our time in ICU. And that's what this book kind of covers. It's our way of navigating the healthcare system from our perspective and just kind of giving that insight into what goes on, the motivations, the conversations, the frustrations, everything that's involved in that hospital room between the patient, family, in the waiting room, all levels of recovery and pretty much all levels of healthcare. It comes down to helping other people, and that's what my background is about, is putting it on the pedestal, saying thank you, giving the gratitude, and helping others as they go through their own experiences as well.
What are some of the amenities to the patients who are unable to communicate? Can you state some of those?
I can. It's small things. You know, it's going into a room and talking to the patient, whether they can hear you or respond to you or not. I was very lifeless in a lot of ways on that hospital bed, but my care team members, my amazing dream team members that I remember, were the ones that came into my room. They talked to me. They said my name. They made eye contact. They got to know me. I couldn't respond back to them, but it didn't matter. They would turn the TV on to my favorite sports stations, or they played my favorite music on the radio and the stereo. They would talk to my parents, and in a lot of ways, when they came into my room, there was an instant connection, and I could sense by their body language, their gestures, their movement, if they're having a good day or a bad day, and that would reflect on the kind of treatment that I had that day. So I was always hoping they were having a good day. But for me, that's what it came down to. It was the small things, just making that connection to improve the level of care, communication, compassion, all these different components overall helped the experience for me.
Yeah, a truly inspiring story. And Brian, you not only recovered from this amazingly awful accident, doctors actually said that you would probably never walk again. Not only are you walking again and learn to walk again, but you actually competed in the 2007 Hawaiian Ironman. Is that correct?
That's correct. And that race was so significant for me and my parents because it completed the healing process for us.
Perfect, and that's why the website is called ironheartbrianboyle.com. Check it out. Brian Boyle, he's a healthcare education advocate, author of The Patient Experience, The Importance of Care, Communication, and Compassion in the Hospital Room, and a truly inspiring story. Appreciate you joining us, Brian.
Continued good
Thanks,
health.
everyone.
All
Bye-bye.
right, have a great day.
Amazing stuff you
Crazy.
learn on American Medicine Today.
Wow.
Well, if you or someone you know is suffering with neck, back, or sciatic pain, reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute. You will receive true patient resolve of your pain, and you'll regain your strength and get back in motion. Bonati.com or 855-267-0482. Stay tuned. You'll hear more after the break.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thank you for listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our executive radio producer, Ethan Euchre.
I'm here as always.
And we're excited because in studio we have Dr. Christopher Sakulis, owner of Sindaver Labs in Tampa, a company which manufactures the world's most sophisticated human tissue and body parts. They were also recently featured on ABC Shark Tank. So welcome, Dr. Sakulis.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So many questions here. And I did a lot of reading up on Sindaver and the fact that you're right here in our backyard. I thought, heck, we gotta get him in.
Yes.
And you didn't bring a body, but I guess we're going to make our way out there to his facility and check him out.
Yes.
So what's your background in medicine?
Well, I'm not a MD doctor. I'm a PhD doctor. So my educational experience is mechanical engineering, material science, polymer science.
And so how did you get involved with making synthetic cadavers?
Well, my industrial experience is all medical device and pharmaceutical, and it really started out as a better way to perform the tests that are required in medical device tests.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Is there really a call, a need for synthetic cadavers?
Clearly. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where you didn't really know you needed it until after it's there. It's kind of like, do you need cell phones or email? No, not really, but it's
until
useful.
You have it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The cadaver, the synthetic human, which is what we call it, is a way to do surgical training and medical training and medical device development testing that really wasn't possible before without a live person.
And how much does an actual corpse cost, and where do they come from? That's
exactly.
I mean, it's a little macabre, but and a little dark. But where do these bodies come from?
Well, they're either donated or they're unclaimed, and they can cost for purchase price anywhere from $0 to $10,000.
Wow.
But on top of that, you've got pretty hefty transportation and disposal costs, and you also can't just use a cadaver anywhere. You have to have very expensive and specialized facilities, and you have to have people that are trained to handle them. So the cost associated with using a cadaver, quote unquote, are really the facility and personnel costs.
Got it.
And why is it more economical to use a synthetic one?
Well, number one, because you can use a Sindaver on a kitchen table if you want. There aren't any special transportation or storage or personnel requirements, and it's piece of capital equipment you're going to have forever. A cadaver you have to dispose of.
And so what type of functions does the Syndaver mimic as opposed to an actual real body?
Well, when we started, it was basically a platform for doing, mechanical / physical interaction type tests with needles and catheters and stents and implanted things. So at its heart, no pun intended, you can test those kinds of things, but also train surgeons to use those things without risking a person.
Now, do they have motion to them?
Some of them do. We've got a basic model that is designed for, mortuary science and anatomy training. And we have other models that have, what we call a physiology engine, which is basically a synthetic, autonomic nervous system that tells it how to pump blood and breathe and blink and move around and all that sort of stuff.
And so how detailed are these things?
For a model, they're incredibly detailed. We don't build them cell by cell the way a real body is. So it is still a model, but it has, all the bones and joints and muscles and organs and, all the great vessels. So you can, train someone to treat a severed femoral artery, for example, or place a coronary stent or, do valve surgery on a heart, place coils in the cerebrovasculature. You can do a lot of things.
Okay. When you bring up the cost of normal cadavers, what is the cost of the Syndaver? Is there a range?
Yeah, there's a pretty big range. The least expensive model that we currently have in the U.S., once the discounts are applied for educational institutions, are about $35,000.
Wow.
And they can go all the way up to over $100,000 depending on how you option them.
Now, you were saying that you can keep them basically forever.
Yep, the oldest parts I have on hand I actually made in grad school about 22 years ago.
Okay, wow. And what type of material?
Yeah, what are they made out of?
Right.
Well, it's almost all water. It's salt, water, and fiber. We've got about 100 different tissues that we've developed to mimic all the tissues that you have in the body, and but on whole, they're almost all water.
Okay, how do you store something like that so it doesn't go bad or
decompose?
Yeah, exactly. Good choice of words.
There's two things you have to do. You have to keep them wet and you have to keep them clean. Okay. And if you do that, they will last essentially forever. The retained parts that I have on hand, I've just kept in basically a plastic Ziploc bag for the last 20 years.
Wow.
And if you keep them hydrated, they'll stay in good shape.
And can a regular person buy one of these, or does it have to be a medical facility or?
Well, there's no, it's not like human tissue, so there's no licensing requirement. So, technically anybody could buy one. I've had people, individuals get in touch who have wanted to buy the full Syndavers, and, we generally turn them down because supplies are still kind of tight. We like to reserve them for professionals.
Right.
Not just some weirdo who's really into Halloween.
Well, I don't judge. It's, I would be happy to sell them to individuals if the supplies were less tight.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, though. When it comes to, you're talking about how they're usable for so long. If they're practicing cuts, how does that work for the material, though?
Well, it's a big 3D jigsaw puzzle is how I like to describe it.
Okay.
And if you can imagine, driving your car down the road, you hit a pothole and you break your muffler. You don't replace the whole car, you just replace the muffler.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it's the same way with a Syndaver. Any individual piece can be taken out and replaced. Generally not repaired. I mean, if you cut a muscle in half, you're not going to try to repair it. You just replace that one muscle.
And so how did you get to, I want to delve into Shark Tank a little bit too, because I really like that show, first of all. So how did you get involved and how did you get picked for the show? What's that process like?
Well, it was my wife Alessana's idea originally, and it wasn't last year. It was the year before that. She suggested that I send in an application.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not doing that. And so I didn't do it that year. No, she didn't. Not that year. But she made the same suggestion the following year, and I did. We did a short, video presentation, which everyone has to do, and you have to fill out the forms, which everyone has to do. But what I did in addition was send them an entire body. So my application didn't come in a FedEx envelope. It came in a big long wooden case that you can't ignore. So they had to open it to get the disc out, and there was a body inside staring at it when they opened it.
That's hilarious. So you got the call, and they wanted you to come on the show.
Next day. Yeah, next day I got a call.
And they film where? Out in L.A.?
Sony Studios in Los Angeles.
Yeah. And so that must have been intimidating to walk into that room with all those sharks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm not the most. I'm a scientist. I'm not a pitch man, and I'm not a marketing guy. So I'm kind of private by nature. So that's not the sort of thing I typically do. Mm-hmm. And I made the mistake of trying to memorize a pitch, and my memory's terrible. So I was nervous going out, but once the question started, I settled down.
Yeah. Well, because they're asking you about something that you obviously know about, because you came up with all of that stuff.
Yeah, the questions were easy once I got there, but I was nervous at first.
And so there was some interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you can't really get into a whole lot of it, but it didn't end up going as planned. Can we say that?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, people go on Shark Tank for two reasons. They go on for investment, they go on for exposure. And the exposure is something that you can't buy. It's invaluable, especially for a small company like ours that is pretty much unknown, even in the industry. We don't the only thing we do on the marketing front really is go to trade shows. I don't do any advertising or anything like that. So our business is almost exclusively, by word of mouth. So the exposure was worth tens of millions of dollars probably.
Wow.
And another show that you've been involved with that I really love is MythBusters. Mm-hmm. I saw a clip where I've never seen Adam Savage that excited, and he's always excited,
mm-hmm.
but he was so excited about having a Sindaver. How did you get involved with those guys?
That was really cool and surprising, too. That was another one of my wife's ideas. She has all the good ideas.
She's just full of good ideas.
Yeah. Maybe she should be right here.
Right.
But yeah, she suggested that we get in touch, and we just went through their website. And
really?
Adam Savage wrote back to us the next day.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, because people that if you've seen the show,
Mm-hmm.
they have Buster, they call him, but I mean it's nowhere near the complexity of a Sindaver. So
yeah, it's not they're not really the same thing. We do have we do market the body for ballistics type applications, but we don't usually censor the bodies. We can. In the case of MythBusters, they were looking to use X-ray, for example, to
check for broken bones, right?
Yeah, and it works great for that sort of thing. The best one they did, I think, was the one where they had the dump trucks smash into the bodies.
I didn't see that one. So what happened?
Well, they had two bodies, and they were trying to judge the effectiveness of what's the PC way to put this? Heavier than normal people.
Okay.
Acting as cushions. So they basically had a Sindaver in between two of these simulated individuals, which they simulated by filling a rubber form with water. And I think these individuals were supposed to be on the order of several 100 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And so they had a Volvo sedan, I think, and they hit it with a dump truck with the body inside, and then they judged it, with the bodies, with and without the obese bodies.
Yeah.
And it was actually the damage to the body was worse, with the people cushioning the impact. Was actually decapitated.
Oh wow! I'm gonna have to go to their website and look up that episode. Well, we're almost out of time, but I was also reading about how you're here in Tampa. Of course, you're bringing jobs to the area too. Is that correct?
That is correct. We've got a facility here in Tampa, which is where we started, and also in Phoenix, and we're hiring in both places.
Mm-hmm.
And so, website for people if they're interested.
Sindaver.com.
Okay. SYNDAVER.com.
Correct. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Dr. Christopher Sakulis, for joining us on the program and telling us more about Sindavers and what it's all about. We can't wait to tour the facility.
Yep.
Great.
See these things in person.
All right.
Well, coming up next, we're going to speak with a whiz kid inventor. It's an incredible young man that was called the next Edison because of something he invented at age 15.
It's pretty impressive.
I don't remember what I was doing at age 15, but it certainly wasn't inventing anything like this.
Nope.
Make sure you stay tuned. You're listening to American Medicine Today.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Well, you're listening and watching American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our executive radio producer, Ethan Euchre.
I am here as always.
Our friend as well.
I am a friend of yours.
And our other friend, senior fellow Jeff Wagstaff.
Howdy. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right.
Well, we have an exciting guest on the line. We'd like to welcome Jack Andraka, an incredible young man who's been called the next Edison, and it's all because of something that he invented at the age of 15. Mm-hmm. He has chronicled his short but already remarkable life in the new book Breakthrough, How One Teen Innovator is Changing the World. So, Jack, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Now, Jack, I know being called the next Edison, especially at the age of 15, you're what, 18 now, right?
Yes, 18.
That's some amazing pressure right there, being called, hey, this guy's the next Einstein or the next Edison. How do you deal with that?
I mean, I just hope that I can live up to the title by helping as many people as I can through my science.
Now, explain the story behind how you actually developed this early detection system for cancer at the age of 15. He's a true whiz kid.
Unreal.
Yeah, as I talk about in my book, I really got into this field of pancreatic cancer because a close family friend who's like an uncle to me actually passed away from the disease when I was 13. And then I realized there really was no way to test for these cancers. And so I set out armed with 8th grade biology to create a new way to detect pancreatic cancer. I ended up with a test that costs 3 cents and takes 5 minutes to run.
Wow. And it took an 8th grader to come up with this. You are
That's
amazing.
Unbelievable. When I was in 8th grade, I was doodling on my notebook and daydreaming, and this guy's thinking about how to cure cancer. Unbelievable.
But at 15, how did you even have the basis of? I'm just amazed by this, Jack. Where did all this come from?
So I actually just used Google and Wikipedia to learn everything that I needed to know, and yeah, it took me a while, but I had to sift through 8,000 proteins and would do all this research. But eventually it just came to me in my biology class.
And you actually went to several different schools, universities, laboratories, asking them, here's this 15-year-old kid coming and saying, hey, can I use your laboratory? I want to develop something. How many rejections did you get?
Yeah, that was actually one of the chapters in my book where I got 199 rejections. I sent out 200 proposals to professors at Hopkins and the National Institutes of Health, and 199 of them said the idea sucked and that I should just not pursue this because it wasn't feasible. But I kept going and finally got one positive response from Dr. Anirban Maich at Johns Hopkins University.
Wow.
And I landed the lab space I needed. And then 7 months later, I ended up with this paper sensor.
All it takes is one.
Yes. And they're normally at the leading edge.
Johns Hopkins?
Yes.
Absolutely. And I'm surprised, actually, knowing how business works, that some of these 199 didn't say, wow, this kid's got something, and try to market it first.
I bet now they're banging their head against the wall and wishing.
Hey, Jack, have you talked to any of the 199 cents? Just to see what you thought?
Well, actually what happened is right before this big science fair, I had to go to the symposium at Johns Hopkins, and I presented my work there. And a lot of those professors had to walk by my board, and I beat a lot of them and got fourth at the symposium. So that was a great feeling.
Wow.
Good for you.
And so what was that process like once you were given the go-ahead to use the laboratory at Johns Hopkins? What was that process like to actually develop this this technique and tool?
Well, I'd go into the lab every single day after school and sometimes stay until 2:30 in the morning or sleep over in the lab even sometimes. And it was a lot of work, but I had to optimize a lot of the different parameters around the sensor, make sure everything was working. And it wasn't until the very end I got a working prototype, and that was just such an exciting moment.
And what did you test this on? I mean, I'm still trying to wrap my head around a 15-year-old coming up with this because I couldn't on my best day. So what is the actual device and sensor? What is it like?
So it's just like a little paper strip. It's kind of like a diabetic test strip, and you just put a drop of blood or urine on it, and in 5 minutes for 3 cents, you can instantly tell whether or not you have the cancer. How this works is it's looking for this one protein that's found in your bloodstream when you have these different cancers called mesothelin. And it will change how electricity flows through it based on the amount of that protein present, and thus indicate whether or not you have the cancer. And how I tested it is I first tested it by I created different solutions of different concentrations of this protein. And then I was able to see how sensitive it was to that protein, and then I could test it on actual patient samples, and it showed over 90% accuracy at detecting the cancer.
Now, is this something that other doctors will be using to diagnose patients, or is this something you can buy over the counter?
So probably what's going to happen, the hope is that would be at your annual doctor's checkup, where essentially you go in and at your checkup, when you have your routine blood work, this would just be one of the tests. And since it's so inexpensive, it wouldn't really make that much of a dent on your medical bill. And because of that, it would be an annual screening test, and so you could screen the wider population for this disease.
Unbelievable. And so which cancers, I know you mentioned pancreatic, what other types of cancers can be detected with this?
So it can detect pancreatic, ovarian, and lung cancer. And then also one cool thing about it is that you can actually change just one component of it very easily and make it sensitive to whatever disease you want. So you could potentially detect Alzheimer's, other forms of cancer, even HIV/AIDS and heart disease.
That's unbelievable.
By an 8th grader.
Yeah.
Unbelievable work, Jack.
And to do that as your first thing straight out of the gates, how do you even live up to that?
Yeah, what have you got on the drawing board? I've got to ask.
It's coming up next.
You know what? I see a story on here that talks about depression and bullying and those sort of things. And those people, they can all take a back seat because they couldn't touch you with their intellect if their lives depended on it. So congratulations.
I also wanted to mention, Jack, I know, the millennials, this generation, your generation have been bashed as being lazy and narcissistic and selfish and things like that, and dependent on technology, but you clearly have proven them wrong. What do you think of your own generation?
I think my generation is one of the most exciting generations out there because we have so much information. We have more information on our smartphones than President Clinton did 20 years ago. I mean, with that information, we can go out there and change the world because it doesn't matter where you come from, age, or gender. It's just your ideas that count because through the internet, really anything is possible.
My gosh, and I guess you really can find anything on Google.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people use that as a leading resource to go look things up, and it was you between, you said Google and Wikipedia, and the information that's out there to be able to create what you did for early detection of all these cancers and other ailments. So congratulations again, Jack. Please keep us updated if you come up with any other new innovations.
And also, if people want to pick up Jack's book, it's funny to me also that he's 18 and he's got a memoir out already.
Great.
It's called Breakthrough: How One Teen Innovator is Changing the World. Jack Andreyka, appreciate you joining us on American Medicine Today.
Thanks for having me.
You take care.
Wow.
Well, you're listening to American Medicine
stuff.
Today. That is the type of innovation that Dr. Bonati talks about all the time. And we don't want to see those things snuffed out. So we always want to promote new medical innovations. And that's why he does this program.
That's awesome.
You're listening to American Medicine Today. If you or someone you know is suffering with neck, back, or sciatic pain, check out the Bonati Spine Institute at Bonati.com. Coming up after the break, well, you'll hear more. Stay tuned.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it. Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.